Real quick, I want to do a fair use. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahach HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. The elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, in the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners, whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To your sisters, you Akhwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Ram Yahawada with the lesson. And as you can see, Arizona volcano waking up, right? So we got hey, signs of the times, man. We're at the end, man. Yahweh Shai is on his way. So you got World War III. At the beginning of World War III, we're just waiting on everybody to go home, go amongst their own people, waiting on the Karagma. And then, World War III will get very hot and heavy. You got the draft, right? Just a couple more prophecies that's about to happen. And, yeah.
What's going on, everybody? This is Living in Arizona Now, and yes, you read that title correctly. This is not clickbait. There are pictures on Facebook right now where people have taken pictures of a volcano that, most people think they're inactive or they're dormant in Arizona. Well, guess what? There's people who took a picture of San Francisco Peak kind of puffing smoke into the air. That's the one in Flagstaff. And then there's another one that just recently puffed. Someone saw it along the beeline in between Rye and Sunflower. So yes, it's true. There has been some volcanic activity in Arizona, and I'm not trying to scare you. I just think it's really a geological interest that it's happening. A lot of people have always said, no, Arizona doesn't have seismic activity. We don't have volcanoes that are active. They're all dormant. Well, anyone who's ever been up to Sunset Crater in Flagstaff, we've got volcanoes. And actually, I looked it up. We do have 5 dormant or active volcanoes in the state of Arizona. We're also going to talk about natural disasters. So if you guys are excited for this video, smash up the likes. We're going to get a lot of information out there really quickly so you guys know what's going on. But, it's a sign of the times. What the time that we're in right now is just absolutely wild. But the fact that these volcanoes are puffing like ash into the air, I saw that in Guatemala. I thought it was quite amazing. But, I just never really seen that in Arizona in all my life. But Halala, or the one in Flagstaff, and the one in nearby Payson just recently puffed. So seeing that is quite crazy. You can see it online in Facebook if you guys go into some of those groups. We actually posted it in our Living in Arizona Now Facebook group. But just so you know, Arizona has about 1,500 volcanic vents. So there is a lot of ancient volcanic cinder cones and lava domes and fissures that have been here in Arizona. Sunset Crater last erupted in 1085. So it's almost been 1,000 years, or it's been a little over 1,000 years since Sunset Crater last erupted. That's the San Francisco volcanic field nearby Flagstaff. That's the youngest volcano. But there is actually another active volcano that people are keeping an eye on. That one's in the Grand Canyon. It's called Unicrat. Do you guys know about that? Volcano is called Unicrat. You guys can look it up. But the San Francisco peaks, those are the big ones. That's a stratovolcano. on Mount Humphreys. That's Arizona's highest peak, and the remnants of a massive, massive volcano that collapsed around 4,000 years ago. If you go to the ancient ruins around Sunset Crater, you'll see the Native Americans were living right there. Maybe that's why they don't live there anymore, is because when San Francisco Peak did erupt, maybe they had to leave. That's around Wupatki. But Arizona does have volcanoes that are technically active, as we've seen with the puffs that are coming out of the mountains. That's just crazy, right? But here's 5 major volcanic fields around Arizona in case you guys want to get out there and understand more. Maybe some of you are geologists or aspiring geological people and you want to check out what's going on. Check out San Francisco Peaks in Flagstaff, Springerville in eastern Arizona. There's a big lava field out there. Unicrat, which is at the Grand Canyon. Then there's San Carlos, and there's Pinacate, which is actually next to the Arizona-Mexico border. There's a lot of like mini volcanoes down there. Now, when I was a kid, we used to go down there, and I'd always see those volcano areas, and I'd be like, are you sure those are dormant? Everybody'd be like, yeah, they're dormant. They're never going to erupt. Well, now we've got some evidence that they're waking up a little bit. As you guys know...
Well known for this, the state of Arizona has been the site of numerous volcanic eruptions during the last 6 million years. This has occurred across 9 volcanic fields, which are as follows. The oldest of the group is the San Carlos volcanic field, which erupted between 7 million and 580,000 years ago. The San Bernardino volcanic field in the southwest of the state erupted between 5 million and 300,000 years ago. The Sentinel volcanic field erupted between 3.3 and 1.5 million years ago. The Springerville volcanic field was highly active between 2.1 million and 300,000 years ago. The San Francisco volcanic field erupted intermittently between 6 million years ago and 1085 CE. The Urinkaret volcanic field intermittently erupted between 3.6 million years ago and 1080 CE. A single lava flow crossed into Arizona from the Red Hill volcanic field 6 million years ago, while another single lava flow crossed into Arizona from the Zuni Bandera volcanic field 650,000 years ago. And finally, part of the Pinacate volcanic field centered mostly in Mexico erupted in Arizona between 2.5 and 1.6 million years ago.
Yeah, this is 2 Esdras, chapter 15, verse 11. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, right? Which we know the modern day Egypt, or the spiritual Egypt, it's talking about is America, right? Because it's speaking about smiting Egypt with plagues as before, right? And Egypt is not a significant place. You know what I mean? So the most significant place on the planet Earth as of this time is America, right? Which is spiritually Egypt, right? Going into Revelation, right here in Revelations 11 and 8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. And that great city is talking about Babylon, right? You know, it says Revelation chapter 17 verse 5, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, right? Which is talking about America, Babylon the Great, or the daughter of Babylon, right? The mother of harlots and abominations, right, of the earth. And I saw the woman, which is talking about America, Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, drunken with the blood of the saints, right? Because they've slaughtered the the Native Americans, which is Gad, which are Israelites. They went against Reuben, which are Seminole Indians. They went against Issachar, which are the so-called Mexicans, which are Israelites, and they went over to Europe and the west coast of Africa and got the southern kingdom and brought them here, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right? And then you have all those other tribes that surround this place, and because this place is so great, or seems so great, people, those other tribes, Colombia, you know, uh, Haiti, Dominican Republic, you know, Cuba, right? Cuba being the Manasseh, Haiti being the Levites, uh, Dominican Republic being um, Simeon, the Colombian being Asher, I believe, or no, I believe no, Naphtali, I believe. It's either Asher or Naphtali. They all come here because it's a great place, right? Because that's what it's going to say. Blood, all the saints, and the martyrs, right? Which that's coming into the end times, because they're going to behead those who believe in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, right? The true believers. When I saw her, which is talking about America, I wondered with great admiration. See, because this place is so, you know, appealing as far as, you know, being able to so-called come here and make the money, and I guess they send their money back to their people. And then you got these modern miracles, the car, the train, the plane, you know, and then now you got the point that they're trying to make cars to fly. You got uh, your debit card, you could tap and pay and go, and then the next phase of that, the fourth industrial, so they apply it to put it into your hand, your forehead. You pay and you go. You pop things in the microwave, and they're cooked, and it's done. Right? It's great admiration. All nations, people want to come here to so-called live out that American dream, that Babylonian dream, right? And it says, I'm just skip down, just right into 18, and the woman which I saw is that great city, and that's basically the point. That woman I saw is that great city, which is talking about America, Babylon the Great, which reigneth over the kingdom of men, right? And they're flexing right now by going to war against Iran, showing you that they can just kill G-side, the Gazans, right in front of your face, and no one's really saying anything, making war with Iran, and hey, not much is happening besides Iran did a couple of strikes back, but it's not much. Now they already have a so-called ceasefire. Yeah, to get back here, so you know that now that you know that woman is America, and that great city is talking about America, which the blood of the saints were spilled here, right? Which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, also where our Lord was crucified. So in this thing, it's not that he was crucified here. He was basically he got basically his identity theft, so to speak. You know, he got X'd out, right? They gave the Israelites, right, being that they are dead bodies, they gave, which is talking about their mindset, and gave them a different Hamashiach. Gave them, well, even in here, it's showing you the letter J is only 400 to 500 years old, right? There was never in a time that the Lord could ever be called Jesus, right? Ever. Never, ever, 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 ever. So who are you calling on when you call on Jesus? You call on a nothing. It doesn't exist. So they gave you another God, which is a dead state. I mean, you mean like talking to the wall. That wall is not alive. It can never actually have a conversation with you, right? You're calling on Jesus, right? Right? It shows you that you don't know what you're talking about. So it proves that they X'd him out, right? They gave him a identity. They gave him a guy with true identity crisis, right? That's an identity crisis, you know. Pale skin, Edomite, right? Pale skin, long hair, right? Which the Lord said, had Paul reiterate that long hair. It's a shame for a man to have long hair, but they're gonna give you a man with long hair, right? And pale skin. When in Leviticus, it tells you that's a curse. You can't be amongst the people if you have a leprosy, right? It says, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations, right? Which going into this, America being what, that melting pot, right? So all different kindreds and tongues and nations here in America being that melting pot shall see their dead bodies. So yeah, you're in America, you see we're in a dead state. We don't know exactly who we are, because that's what it tells you in Deuteronomy, that they should put yokes of iron upon thy neck until you be destroyed. So you see that we're destroyed as far as not knowing who we are. They put us in the ghettos, the vadios, the reservations. And then they brought in the heroin, the cocaine, the guns, the drugs, right? And it says, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves, right? You don't want us to finally put those things to rest, so to speak. So now we're like a restless people, right? That's why the scriptures talk about being wild bulls in the net. Isaiah chapter 51, verse 20, thy sons have fainted. What sons? The Israelites have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets. What street? The streets in Babylon the Great, with their minds not fully understand. It's almost like we're dead. We're in a dead state of mind, right? As wild bulls in the net, basically saying we're not at rest, right? You can't rest when you get stop and frisk. You get scowling looks if you walk into the store. You're automatically finna steal something, right? Though there are people who, they steal, they do things, whatever, to get by. But what you do is you put a blanket statement over all so-called black people. But then if one white person steals or do this or commit murder or do anything, you go, no, that's that guy. You can't blanket statement all white people. You can't blanket statement all Jewish. That's what that one person did. But somehow the world could blanket statement the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, and especially dealing with the Southern Kingdom, Judah, which, because we look like the Lord would look, so-called woolly hair black man. So of course you hate the image of the true power. That's why you gave a different image of the true power, which look more like these so-called Negroes in America, the ones you hate the most, right? They be at all the heads of the streets as a wild bull in the net, right? They don't have no rest. They are full of the fury of Yahweh, and really this is ultimately, you think that you've done something, but it's really ultimately the curse of the Lord. It's really the Lord is angry with his people. Is why he allowed you to put his people in your hand. See, because it's really the rebuke of thy power. See, and really the power that was given to the self-proclaimed so-called white man in this place, which that woman is Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, right? Gave you that power. Says, therefore, hear now this, thus afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. See, dealing with your philosophies. So we're in a dead state of mind, not knowing who we are. Now you're calling yourself black. You're calling yourself Mexican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Colombian, and you're just these Latinos, right? You speak Latin. I'm Spanish, right? So now all of a sudden you're a language, right? Which that's not a nationality, right? You're not a Puerto Riches, right? Which Puerto Rico, that's what that means, right? You know, all these different words and things that they came up with in order to docile you, right? Black basically is dead, or African American. You can't be you can't be two things that you have never been on top of that. For one thing, Africa is named after Leo Scipios Africanus. America is named after America's Vespucci, which is two white men. So we didn't come out of the loins of two white men, being dark skinned, woolly hair. We didn't come out of two white men, and it's two places you've never really have been or associated with, right? You've never been to Africa, right? You've never been in, and they won't tell you what country you come from. The continent of this place they call Africa, right? Which is really like the land of Ham. It shouldn't be called the continent of Africa or whatever, but you know, in this modern day, just giving you what it is. So you've never been there, and then America, they call you 3/5 of a man. So you're not an American. So what are you? And that's part of that lack of understanding, that affliction and drunkenness, being in the ghettos, the barrios, the reservations, drunken off these philosophies, and it's not with wine, right? Yeah. So basically, now you know that America is synonymous with Egypt, right? Which is spiritual Egypt, and you can look at the back of your dollar bill, which has the pyramid, right? Let you know that it's you know, synonymous, or spiritual Egypt shall mourn, and the fountains, the foundation of it, right, shall be smitten with plagues and punishment, that the power of the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, shall bring upon it. Yeah, so this is Exodus chapter 9, verse 23. And Moses stretched forth his rod towards heaven, right? And that's what it said in Second Esdras. It says that the Lord with a stretched out hand will smite Egypt with plagues as before. So he stretched forth his rod towards heaven, and Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakal sent lightning and hail and fire running along upon the ground, and Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakal rained hell upon the land of Egypt, right? And that's talking about ancient Egypt. But we know that it just said that it's going to put plagues upon the spiritual Egypt as it did ancient Egypt in prior time. And see, this was talking about raining it down from heaven, but volcanoes can erupt and rain down ashes, hell, through the volcanoes. It also can run fire upon the ground, which is magma, lava, can run upon the ground, right? So there was hell and fire mingled with hell, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation. See, and that's the type of things that's happening right now with those volcanoes awakening. The guy said something about It was maybe 1,000 years ago or something. Well, now there's a thing that's about to happen in this Egypt that's never happened since this place had became a nation, which is the daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great, which is spiritually Sodom and Egypt, where our Lord was crucified or X'd out, right? Gave a different image, a different name, title, and a whole manner of spirit, man. Soft-spoken, smiling, but war was in his heart, because when you deal with so-called Christianity, right, it was always through these KKK that tell you that they're Christians, and then they'll be on your lawn, burning a cross, going in there, killing your father in front of everybody, with no repercussions, right? So that's America. That's that oppression, right? Yeah, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 5 verse 8, and there shall be a confusion also in many places, right? See, because that's part of the Lord bringing on the plagues as he did before. There's going to be confusion in many places, and the fire, right? And volcanoes bring fire, right? Shall be oft sent out, right? Again. And so this volcanoes, they said they were asleep, dormant or whatever, and them awakening, right, is going to send lava, which is hot magma, which is fire, which is hot, which is like hell, right, out once again, sent out again. And the wild beasts shall change their places, right? And minstrous women shall bring forth monsters, right? And that's the time you're living in now, right? With the earth and things changing, because they're building houses and places they shouldn't be building, and now there's animals in places where it's a so-called city or town, and then it's going to be more oft once the mass killing from the protest and the famine and all these different things. A lot of people are going to die, and with the lack of water and lack of what do you call it? Yeah, resources, I would say, right? Because they're going to cut off the water. The animals are going to come in to the city. You're going to smell a lot of the dead bodies, all the different things. Dead bodies bodies should be like dung upon the ground, right? And these animals are going to come in to eat. They're going to eat all these dead bodies, and hey, and you're going to be walking around if you're alive. The ones that's alive, hey, dead meat or living meat. What do I want? I'm going to chase you down, eat you. More than I will eat this dead body. But if I don't see anybody, yeah, of course, they're going to eat the dead bodies and things like that. Right? Yeah, so this is Matthew chapter 3, verse 10. And now also the axe is laid unto the root, right, of the tree. And see, that's the time that we're in right now. America's about to get rooted out, right? Because you can't leave the root, or else it'll grow back up, right? You got to destroy this Edomite system, right? Right along with the Edomites. It says, therefore, every tree which bringeth not forth good fruit, and since America's existence, it has not brought forth any good fruit, right? Even 2/3 of the nation of Israel is not good fruit. That's why the Lord only is bringing out the elect out of this land. Is hewn down and cast into the fire, and that's this place. It's about to be cast into the fire, right? Not only volcano, hypersonic ICBM missiles, 200 million missiles is going to turn this, which that's even more of a reason why this place will be the lake of fire, that all these volcanoes in Arizona. So it's not just going to be Yellowstone. You have all these volcanoes here in Arizona, all right? Yeah. So this is Matthew chapter 5 verse 22. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause, shall be in danger of the judgment, right? And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council, right? Which is talking about Israelites, but Israelite towards another Israelite brother, but Esau is our brother, right? He's known as our brother, but then again, he does not want to be brotherly, so he's not our brother, but as our brother. But whosoever shall say thus fool, or thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Yeah, so this is Obadiah chapter 1 verse 9. It says, and thy mighty men, which is your military, your police, your average Joe six pack, right? Mountain Dew drinking Edomite, right? Old Teeman, right? Which that's what Donald Trump is. Trump is a Teemanite, right? Shall be dismayed, right? So this is the time that you're going to get dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. See, and this is a thing that's coming to you. You're going to get rooted up, right, and cast into hell fire, right, for the violence against thy brother Jacob. See, and that's us, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. They have violence against you, and that's what they're about to show again. So that's why they're going to get cut off. Shame shall cover thee, and thus shall, or thou thou shall be cut off forever. Yeah, and that you're going to be cut off forever, and thou shall be cut off forever, right? Yeah, so this is Psalms chapter 50 verse 20. So thus sitteth and speaketh against thy brother, thou slanderest thy own mother's son, right? Which is your brother, which is us, right? So-called Black, Hispanic, Native Indian are meant to be your brothers, but of course you're not recognizing that like that, nor have you did when we came out of Egypt. You didn't recognize us as brothers. You wouldn't let us cross through your land, just to get to our own land. We wasn't going to bother you. The Lord already said we couldn't take your land. We had to leave you be. We just wanted to cross through, but you didn't want it that way. So these things has thus done, or thou done, so like not thus, but thou done, and I kept silent. See, and you put us in the ghettos, the vadios, the reservations. You constantly did all sorts of things, and the Lord kept silence. But now it's time for World War III. It's time for people to go unto their own people. The Lord's finna cause that separation once again. You're not going to be mingled together with all sorts of people in this nation. It's not going to be the great melting pot anymore. People are going to get very nationalistic and come amongst their own people, right? And you know, it's just not going to be what you all entailed of being Babylon, right? All these different people all together, all in one world. Uh, Novos Ordo Seclorum, right? It's not going to happen, right? Because the Lord kept silent. I kept silent, right? And that's pretty much what it said in Second Esdras too. When you go back to Second Esdras 15, the Lord said He kept silent for a while. He didn't speak for a while. Thus, thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee. Right, so it's time for a judgment, correction, right? Because you're the servant, and you're upon a horse, and the princes are upon the earth walking as servants, and the Lord's going to have to reprove you because you're out of order. You're out of order. Yeah, and set them in order, right? Putting us back on the horse, so to speak, which horse symbolizes what? Power, to put the Israelites back in power, starting with Yahushai, and King David, which was known as Peter, right? Right? Because he said that this rock will I build my church, right? And the gates of hell should not prevail against it. So as you got the Bill Gates of hell, you got all these different ways of inoculations and this and that and that and another, different foods and GMO foods and soldiers to bring in martial law, Jade Helm, and all these different things that you're going to bring, the King Alfred plan and all these different things you're going to do. It's all really set up for the Lord to put us in order, to put them in order before thy eyes. See? And that's all it is. Yeah, so this is 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. It says, the Lord Yahweh, Adawan Yahweh, Basham Yahweh Shai, Basham Rakah HaKodash, knoweth how to deliver the godly, which is the elect of the nation of Israel, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, which are the elect of the nation of Israel, which is the elect, right? But 2/3 of you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, your lot is to be destroyed with Esau, right? Because you don't want to let go of this current present world, which is passing away anyway, as you can see. It says deliver the godly out of temptations, right? Because it's going to be the greatest temptation is the hour of temptation, right? Where there's starvation, lack of food, lack of bread, lack of water. That's a temptation to lean upon the government. But the Lord is going to be with the elect, not to lean upon the government. But a lot of you that's already, too used to leaning upon the government, you're going to do it. And to receive it, to reserve the unjust, right? So you're unrighteous, you're unjust unto the day of judgment, which is the day of doom, right? To be punished, but chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanliness and despise government, and that's ultimately Esau. He despises government, and when I'm saying government, it's true government, having the law, statutes, commandments that's dealing with the Most High. That would be true government, right? to say you believe in the Bible, to swear upon the Bible, and almost 95% of the things you do has nothing to do with the Bible. And then some of the things you used to, hey, you went and took their back, right? Because you're, according to your thing, at least I guess you don't kill them, but you're actually supposed to arrest homosexuals. You're supposed to arrest them, right? That's supposed to be a crime under the government, federal, not just federal, even state, but federal, under federal and state law, you're supposed to arrest homosexuals. But then instead, you pass laws saying that they can marry each other and all these other different things. So, you're unjust and unclean, and you despise government, and what's a pompous, or are they self-willed? They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities, right? See, they're not evil. They're not afraid to speak against their brother, right? False accusers, right? Going into diablos, devil, meaning false accuser, right? They're not afraid to accuse you before the Father day and night, right? And neither you other so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, you're not afraid to speak evil of what's right. Oh, well, who are you? Who are you to judge? You ain't God. No, you're right. We're not God. The judgment is already written. It tells you that. Even Yahushua said that to the Pharisees. Right? It's already written. Whoever doesn't believe is already condemned already. If you don't believe in this, you're already condemned, because all the judgment are already written. We're just telling you what the judgments are. Trying to see if you have that fear. Yeah. So 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. But the day of the Lord, the Adonai, Yahweh, Basham, Yahushai, Basham Rakakodash, will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away, right? The hypersonic ICBM missiles, right? Is going to make this place pass away with great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. So when that thing hits, and these volcanoes are already set to erupt, you're going to get fire or is going to mingle together with ICBM missiles. Lava and missiles are going to be hitting, and this thing is going to just increase the heat. It's going to just increase the heat on this place, right? Because you already got Yellowstone volcanoes, right? You got different other places, man. Forgot where the Mount St. Helens at, but you got them. But I know they people been talking about the seismic sizes of Yellowstone, but look at how many volcanoes are just here in Arizona. So this is it's really giving me an understanding of how that lake of fire is going to be performed. The elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also, and the works thereof, or therein, and the works therein shall be burnt up. And that's talking about America, Babylon the Great. It's not talking about the whole entire earth. It's just talking about the earth. It's talking about the land of America, of Babylon, which is spiritually what? Egypt, Sodom, right? and what? Babylon, right? Assyria too. But the main ones is Egypt, Sodom, and Babylon, right? That great city, which is what? Babylon, the daughter of Babylon at that, right? Not ancient Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, and what manner of person, see, it's what we try to tell you, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. We're not saying it because we're trying to have this great authority over here, and we're looking to be saved just like anybody else. It's not guaranteed for us to be saved, but we're doing the things of them that are looking to be saved. Those are the things you would be doing, right? You know? So what person are you ought to be? So what a manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation, right? And that ultimately, that's what it is. When you go out there on the highways and the byways, or you do these digital epistles, this is a holy conversation that I'm trying to have with you. The Lord said, let us reason together. Reasoning is like having a conversation. So this is a holy conversation. And godliness, right? Right? Looking for and hastening, right? And that's what's happening right now. A hastening is taking place. And by the volcanoes, like the guy was saying, he said, I live in Arizona myself. I'm in Arizona myself. And I lived here my whole life. Because he didn't mention the one that's by Tucson, Mount, I think it's Mount Lemon or something like that. They were saying that that's an old volcano. I think there's one in Eloy too. They were saying that there's a volcano there too. So there's a couple of them, right? But that, like you said, my whole life they always, oh, those are dormant. Nothing's gonna happen. They're dormant, right? But we're at the end. So in the end is speaking. So now you can see how it's gonna be the lake of fire, right? It says, looking for and hastening the coming of the day of the power of the Most High, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakahakodash, right? Wherein the heavens shall be on fire, right? Which is talking about this rulership. Esau's rulership, starting with America, Babylon the Great, to be turned into a desert. That's this Edomite's power structure, right? But the heathen, they don't understand. They're foolish, right? I mean, it looked like Putin knows a little bit because he kept trying to tell them, we don't want nuclear war. But that's the whole point of the Lord putting the hooks in his jaws, because if you're smart, you don't go to war. You know what I mean? If you're smart, forget it. Just let everything happen. Let it go on like I need. But the Lord has to set up. It's the Lord's movie. So he's invoking them to go to war. And that's what's going to happen. And they're going to shoot these ICBM missiles from Russia, from India, right? China, North Korea, and even the allies of France. Turkey, Saudi Arabia, they're all going to shoot missiles on America, Babylon the Great, to dissolve it, right? And heaven being on fire shall dissolve, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, right? So that's the time we're coming in. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, right? Which tell you has to be the old one, the original one that's there, because where we're gonna get a whole entire new earth. Where are you gonna get that from? Because the earth is exactly, was it the third planet from the sun? So it's exactly where it needs to be at, just so it's not too cold and not too hot. So that way it's a livable, right? So where are you going to get a new earth from? It's not talking about that. It's talking about Esau's power structure, the heathen power structure altogether, because they're never going to allow a heathen to rule ever again, right? It says, says a new heaven and new earth within dwelleth righteousness, and that's what Yahweh Shai ruling and King David ruling, and that's going to dwell righteousness upon earth, this new earth, new remodeled earth, because it's definitely going to get a facelift, right? With the missiles hitting from different places, and of course the lava, the molten lava that's going to be spreading everywhere in different places and things like that. You're gonna get a new land structure. It's gonna become different. I mean, it happened in the time of Noah, where it was Pangea, and then after it dried up, it was separated, had a different look to it, and it's gonna happen again. It's gonna have a totally different look to it from outer space down to earth. Back to 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 6 says, and turning the cities, right, of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, right? And that's what the Lord is about to do to this place, about to uproot it. It's an overthrow, right? Making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. And that's this place here, Babylon the Great. They have lived ungodly, man, right? And delivered just Lot, right? And that's dealing with the elect, right? The Lord said that he found out of 1,000 men, he found one righteous, right? And that's like the equivalent to it being 12,000 out of each tribe, which is a very low number, because you got to think each tribe are in the millions, 100, maybe even 100 millions, and out of at least 100 million Israelites, 12,000 from each tribe. So that this is likened unto to that elect, delivered just Lot. Vex with the filthy conversation, right? See what conversation you ought to have, right? You're supposed to have a righteous conversation, right? Not an unrighteous conversation. Because vex with the filthy conversation of the wicked, right? So you could basically see how easily this will be the lake of fire once the ICBM missiles come down, right? Which the Lord did it through the chariots at one time, but then the chariots is going to come too and shoot fire on this place. So you're gonna see very easily how this place is gonna be the lake of fire. So with all that, I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners, who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold. Shalom, to your sisters, your Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yehawada with the lesson, and a Baba Ball, Kwam Yasharallah.